Hey guys, Tate from Nick's Boots, and this is the Start to Finish podcast. I'm here with James Nash of Six Ranch Outfitters, out in the woods having some fun. Just want to sit down, have a conversation with you, get to know you a little bit better.
Doing a little bit of elk hunting.
A little bit of elk hunting. We've had some fun so far. I've learned a lot. I've seen a lot. It's been a lot of fun.
What have you learned?
I've learned that all the systems along the way, every little thing has to kind of be thought about and planned for and considered. And you just got to get reps doing it. You know, the more times we were skinning this morning, and you gave me a ton of little tips and tricks that make something that I've made very difficult in the past a little bit easier. But that's just about doing it more often, repetition.
Yeah, and everybody's got a different approach, right? There's lots of ways to skin a cat. There's lots of ways to skin an elk. But anytime that you can gain efficiency, the earlier in your life that you can gain it, the bigger the gain will be throughout the rest of your life. And I think in any field, right, whether you're hanging drywall or framing up a house or butchering elk, those efficiencies really add up, and they help protect your body and give you a better result in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I've watched you over the last couple of days. This is a business. This is your profession. You've put the time and effort into figuring out all these details, taking a life of hunting and creating the most professional experience. It's about the meat, taking care of it, honoring the thing that we're doing out here in all the little details. It's how you interact with the client. It's how you handle the meat afterwards. It's been impressive to watch. A lot of fun, and certainly something I aspire to.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. It's been really fun working with you over the last few months, getting to know you, getting to understand your story. Your story has a lot of chapters. I think a lot of chapters that a lot of people can relate to. The Six Ranch has a ton of history behind it as well. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit just about your life to this point. What brought you here?
Well, I grew up on the Six Ranch. It's a ranch that's been in my family for 6 generations now. It was founded in 1884 in Northeast Oregon, and it's a beautiful place, and it's a tremendous privilege to live there and work on it and take care of the ground, take care of the river, and in doing so make space for not just wildlife, but also for the cattle and sheep and horses and the things that bring people joy and nutrition and recreation.
Right.
So I grew up there, went to school in the small town that's nearby. I went and lived in Norway for a year when I was in high school, and then went to college in Montana, studied literature and writing. I fought fire all the way through college, all over the Intermountain West and in the desert in the Southwest on a helicopter rappel crew that for several years was based not too far from where we're at right here. And then I went into the Marine Corps after college and spent 5 years there as a tank officer. I was retired from the Marines and came home and started a fly fishing business. I'd been guiding since I was 14 years old in the backcountry, and I was a little bit busted up from the Marine Corps and wasn't able to do the ranch work. So starting the fly fishing business was something that I could do. And then that expanded into guiding more hunts and doing habitat management and consultation for different folks. And as businesses do, if you kind of give them everything that you've got and you make a little bit more than you're spending, they grow. And over time, it's grown to encompass a lot of different things. And one of the components that has been in the center of it for the last several years is elk hunting. And elk hunting is a big part of our culture here in Eastern Oregon. It's been a big part of my life always. I've elk hunted my entire life since I was a toddler. And it's a big part of who we are as a community. And I looked up so much to the people who were good at elk hunting as a young man, and I wanted to be that. And I've been really studious in my approach to hunting. So in addition to just the time spent, my continued education with it has been really important, and I'm always learning. I've learned a lot this week about elk hunting, and it's something that I do have a lot of respect for and get a lot of enjoyment. Getting to see Tara this morning get her first big game animal and just watch those waves of emotion go through her. That's one of the most special things that you can experience as a guide. And then, you know, with her medical background, moving from the animal in the field and all those aspects of the hunt to actually butchering and processing is always fun when you have a medical professional around, because they have an understanding of anatomy that no one else does. And their curiosity for anatomy of species that they're not used to working on is insatiable. And I get a lot of energy from that, and that's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Yesterday, when we struck out for the first hunt with Tara, you mentioned, you know, this is a cow elk hunt, and it's one of the most fun hunts you can have. We had bugling bulls. We heard bugles last night. It's different in that you're targeting, you know, large herds of elk. You got a lot of eyes looking at you, but to see your excitement, you know, after doing this your whole life to this point and saying in that moment that this is where you want to be, what you want to be doing, savor the moment. You know, you stop to remind all of us to look around, have fun, enjoy the experience out here. You know, that's just incredible that you've been doing something for this long and you still have the passion for it.
Sure. I've been fortunate to hunt for many species all over the world. And the way that we hunt cow elk here in October has really the best components of any hunt that you could imagine. It's got an African savanna style spot and stalk method. You've got the call-in component. You have very tedious stalking that's required, because in the mornings it's incredibly quiet, and if the wind dies down, very, very quiet in these woods. And cow elk are much smarter than bulls. They're much harder to hunt than bulls. And they don't often get the credit that they deserve because they're difficult to distinguish one from another. On average, the cows that we hunt here are 5 years older than the bulls that we hunt. And the bulls are old, mature bulls. So these cows have seen it, and they're getting hunted every minute of their life. Every minute of their life, they're getting hunted by something who's more proficient at hunting than I am.
Right.
So they're very turned on. And one of the big differences between a cow and a bull is that there's never a moment in a cow's life where she's willing to die for something. And there is several weeks of every year that a bull is willing to die just for the chance to breed another cow or to hold on to the cows that he's got.
Right.
If it comes down to it, a cow will abandon her calf because her survival is more important than that calf's survival, because she can have another one the next year.
Right.
She's old, she's smart, and she's in a herd. And you're not just trying to defeat the senses of that one animal, but of that collection of animals. And they've got it all. They've got tremendous eyesight. Their hearing is incredible. Their sense of smell is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. If you can sneak up to close range on a herd of cows and get off a good shot, you've really done something. And we did it 4 times this week.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, even as a hunter out here, you get away from the computer, the phone, all those things going on, and I noticed your senses just come back a little bit. This morning, the herd that we got on, I smelled them long before we saw them. Last night, I was hearing them before we saw them. It's a unique experience that not everyone gets to have. We're privileged to have that opportunity.
And it does come back. Those old parts of being a human start to come back really quickly. And the more time you spend out here, the more refined they get. And the more you start to listen to what your body's collecting from the environment that you're in.
Right.
the rest of our lives have so much static around them. It's so distracting. And to come out of the woods for me and go back into town, especially into a city or an airport or something like that, the culture shock is tremendous. Even though I know what to expect, it's really overwhelming for the senses a lot of times. And it takes me a while to slip back into that. Now, I've hunted in, 2 hemispheres in the last couple weeks, but even then, for the last 60 days, I've only had 3 days off that I wasn't hunting or traveling to hunt.
Right.
And that's quite a grind. And it's hard for folks who haven't done it to understand, not only the depth of the fatigue that can come with that, but also the level of satisfaction and just how fitting it feels to be in this place and to have this type of pursuit. Very difficult to get that with anything else.
Right. So I want to go back to something, from your past. You grew up on this ranch. You're a farm kid. You're a ranch kid. You're working hard. You're setting irrigation pipe. That's part of the culture in Eastern Oregon. You're doing rodeo. You're living that life, and then you transition to wild and firefighting in a very unique application. A rappel team. A lot of people may not even be familiar with that. So tell us, what did you take from that childhood, the 6 generations? What did you learn there that you took onto the fire line, and how has that moved forward through your life?
Yeah, so as rappellers, we specialized in small fires in remote places, and we would attack those fires with 2, 4, or 6 people at a time out of a helicopter. We would rappel down a rope that was 250 feet long and land in that wilderness or that remote piece of country, and then fight that fire without water. The only water that we had was the water that we had to drink, and it wasn't much. And after you put the fire out, you had to hike back to the nearest road, wherever that was, to get picked up. And it was a very difficult job and a very exciting job when you actually got to do it. A horribly painful and uninspiring job when there weren't fires to be had. But as a ranch kid, I already knew how to dig, and a lot of firefighting is digging, and it's running a chainsaw. And those are skills that I already had and took pride in my ability to do. Some things that I didn't know how to do were to work on a team, were to accept leadership from people that I disagreed with, and those are really important skills. And those were things that I ended up learning how to accomplish as a firefighter, and that set me up for a lot of success later on in the Marine Corps, because I'd worked in these small units and austere environments that didn't have a lot of support around them, and you had to trust the people that you were working with in these dangerous environments, even if you came from terribly different backgrounds and maybe didn't agree about much of anything at all. You needed to focus on that common goal and focus on the mission and figure out how to achieve it. And yeah, those skills are important no matter what you do. We need each other to accomplish our common goals.
Right.
So that communication bit, I think, it just can't be overstated. And in any job, in any pursuit, it really does come down to communication. And with elk hunting, not only are you using that communication to understand the goals and the needs of the person that you're helping on the hunt, but you're also communicating with animals at the same time. And it's like speaking multiple languages.
I mean, that's what makes elk hunting amazing. We've talked about a lot of hunting this weekend, but for me, it's the thing that I'm the most excited about, because it's you and an animal. That there's only 2 species in North America, a turkey and an elk, that talk back to you. That's a really, really unique experience.
Yeah, I could add some more to the list, but those are the ones that come to mind for a lot of folks. Yeah,
cool. So one of the common threads that I hear in your story is, from a very young age, you were setting out by yourself to accomplish a task. You were rappelling down a 250-foot rope with what you could carry, and you had to get yourself from A to B. You've been, overseas fighting for our country by yourself or in a small group of people. You've hunted all over the world, typically by yourself or in a small group of people with the things that you can carry. Tell me about the importance of that, the things that you take out there with you.
Yeah. The first things that you'll learn in that is that you're bringing stuff that you don't need. And I think that you can use that as real advice, or you can use it as a metaphor, but we're all packing around a lot of stuff that we don't need.
Right.
And there's nothing like carrying that weight to realize that you need to jettison it. Like, if you don't need it, get rid of it. You want to carry things that have more than one use. You need to be really cautious about any item that is so specific in its application that you can only get one use out of it. So if I can get multiple uses, 2 or 3 out of something, then it becomes more valuable. Reliability is massive. In the environments that I work in, if one of these critical pieces of gear that I have in my life is prone to failure, then it's unacceptable. Completely unacceptable, because I've drawn everything down to the bare minimum of what I need, and I actually need it. So if there's an opportunity for it to fail, if it's proven to me that it can fail, or if I've seen it fail for somebody else, it's abhorrent. I can't tolerate it in the slightest, because its failure means failure for what I'm trying to do, and potentially huge personal risk to me and the people that are around me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to think about, more is less, less is more sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that we say that doesn't necessarily make sense, but if you don't need it, don't bring it. And if you're carrying something around and you haven't used it, you really need to be critical about whether you need to keep packing that thing around.
Right. So it's a good segue. Let's talk about boots for a minute. Obviously, that's why we're here. That's why we're working together. You've got a couple pairs of Nick's boots now. You used to rappel in a Pacific Northwest fire boot. So you've been around this space for a long time, and we've talked about the applications, how you use your boots. Tell me a little bit about how, you're wearing the Nick's boots Game Breaker right now. How does that boot transition through the different aspects of your life?
Well, I can work in this boot on the ranch, and if I catch something on fire that doesn't need to be on fire, I can wear these boots to try and put that fire out. I can kick an invasive weed to death with it. I can hike up a hill. I can get them wet, get them dry. Doesn't matter. They're going to stand up to that task. So it's something that I can wear all year long. Out here where we're hunting, I need a boot that is going to protect me from the sky above and the mud below. So whether it's rocky ground, whether it's sharp sticks, like, I just can't hunt out here barefoot. I can't do it. If I could, I would, but I can't. I need to protect my feet from the ground, and then I also need to protect it from the air and everything that falls out of it. So this is a good boot for that all-around protection, whether I'm doing manual blue-collar labor on the ranch, or if I'm out here hunting. The other thing is that I just know that they're not going to blow out. I'm not going to get seams ripping apart. My sole's not going to fall off. Like, none of those things that have happened with other boots are a possibility with this boot. So it's something that I can put on the back burner and not even consider. Like, my boots aren't going to be the thing that lets me down.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we were talking earlier today. I think an interesting application of our boots is actually for the guy that is working in the trades. He's running heavy equipment or he's working construction. He's going to buy a pair of boots this year. He's probably going to hunt 3 days.
Yeah.
I think that's another interesting application. Here's a boot you can buy that is going to be good really for whatever you're doing. And then when you shift into that hunting environment for a short period of time, it's the same boot. You're used to it. A lot of guys, all kinds of interesting technology in boots, particularly in the hunting space, lightweight, et cetera, et cetera. But if you buy that boot and you pull it out of the box 2 days before your hunt, and you slap it on, you've now created risk. You don't know about this boot. You haven't been wearing it all year. I think there's something to, our boot can be familiar, something you can wear it on the job site, you can wear it hunting. It's just great for that.
Yeah, it's one of those items like I was talking about that you can get multiple uses out of.
Yeah.
Now, look, if you're just hunting, there's better boots than the Game Breaker for you to wear. There just is. But if you're working and hunting, this is a really great option that's going to save you money, and it's going to last longer than any of the hunting boots that are out there. They're all going to die a long time before this boot does. And when this boot's worn out, I'll just get it resold and then move on with my life.
Yeah, that's great. Well, to wrap up here, I want to hear about what you're excited about in the Six Ranch, at the Six Ranch, on the podcast. You've got a lot of irons in the fire right now, but what are you looking forward to this winter and into spring next year?
Yeah, I've got rifle bowl season coming up on Wednesday. So we'll be out on the prairie doing a totally different type of hunt where trees are few and far between, and instead of really analyzing the timber that's 50 to 80 yards in front of me, I'm going to be looking for animals that are miles away and then figuring out how to get my hunters within rifle range in short grass prairie. And it's a wild challenge. So that's a great time. Got some waterfowl hunting ahead of me. And then winter is a great time for predator hunting, which is important for conservation. And it's a great way to build skill, and a really, really fun time to be out, and a challenging pursuit for sure. Something that I enjoy a heck of a lot. And then I'm also looking forward to, in the second half of December, getting a little bit of sleep. So excited for that. I've been going hard, and I'll continue to do so until about the middle of December. I've got some spearfishing trips coming up in some warmer climates, and I'm really excited to get back in the water and hunt some fish. And yeah, winter for a lot of us is the time to reconnect with family and friends, because in the summer and the fall, you're just going hard. You're making hay when the sun's shining, and making the most of what you can with your job. By the time winter comes in, that's when you eat all the food that you spent the rest of the year trying to procure. Mm-hmm. And the nature of it in small communities is that you're sharing that food with friends and family, and there's just nothing better.
Awesome. Sounds like fun. Look forward to hearing about your spearfishing in warmer places. For us, it's been awesome getting to know you. We've got a ton of great feedback on the boots. You certainly have connected us to a lot of other folks as well. It's just been a pleasure for us. Thanks so much for supporting our brand and for having me out here this weekend.
Thanks for making good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, James.